There you go. All right, you groovy grasshoppers. That's right. It's Monday morning. The great Mark Puttenvink with a shirt on, although showing the arms and chest and the tan and everything like that.
It's hot today, man.
It's kind of overcast too, right? Like that humid.
Yeah, it's hot and humid, and it's gonna be like 90. But
Yeah.
summertime.
All right. So really quickly, Mark Puttenvink, Patriot Training Systems. He trains the world. Can train anyone.
And
From Vladimir.
whoa. Not just the world, Tom.
Oh, sorry. That's right. All the universes.
Correct.
All right. Perfect. All right, so let's get right at it. We've got some venting to do later on, but we're going to touch on the great event that you guys had on Saturday there that I did not attend because my car. I'm going to darn. It did well. It seemed like a big crowd, right?
It was tremendous. I mean, they're all tremendous, and they're all tremendous in different ways sometimes. Yeah. And this was, I think, the largest participation. This was Saturday. I think there were 220. Yeah, there were 220 swimmers total, of which were 70 SEALs. The rest were, first responders, NYFD, NYPD, military veterans, and then patriots. So we had really quite a large crew. Right. And we got to New York, or I should say, they got to New York in 2 hours and 45 minutes, which is really fast.
Yeah.
Considering, for those that don't know, they leave opening ceremonies, empty sky. I kept saying Fallen Towers. It's empty sky memorial. Then they do like a 1.25 mile flag run, which it's pretty significant. Carrying this big flag, and then they get wet there. And if anybody notices the commercial where you can see the statue in the background, I think it's Liberty Mutual, one of those insurance companies. That's where they go in the water. Yeah. And then they swim, and the first leg's pretty quick, but it's the hardest because that's where the current is the strongest. And then when they get to Statue of Liberty, as you know, Tom, we have the barge there. They come on deck. They do 100 push-ups and 22 pull-ups. They get wet again, then they go to Ellis Island, come back up on my second barge. We have all set up for them, complete that task. Same thing, 100 push-ups, 22 pull-ups. And then they get wet, and then they shoot over to South Cove. And it's just, if anybody's interested, just go on my Facebook page or any one of my many friends that participated. You'll see some incredible, amazing photographs.
Great picture. Now, did they all have to wait for, remember they started having to do that because
you know what? Yeah, so the way we have to do it is we have to keep all the swimmers together for command and control, for security, right? We don't want them spread out because we only have so many assets as far as rescue swimmers and such that and security. So but they really came up quickly and did the electronic check-in. We did a couple manual counts. They did push-ups and pull-ups, and they were back in the water quick. I mean, 2 hours and 45 minutes is pretty quick to get across the Hudson. Yeah. In addition to doing all that additional stuff.
Yeah. It is something being on the barge too, because the barge is this big thing, big flat thing. There's no sides to it. Everything. You got some real Type A personalities up there.
Yeah,
there's some testosterone pumping around in that.
It was awesome. I mean, it always is, and it's a collection of women and men that have served our country or served as first responders or patriots, and all shapes and sizes. They're the SEALs are SEALs. I mean, you can identify a SEAL just by looking at them. Yeah. But everyone else. There was some people there. You go, interesting. Yeah, different kind of conditioning, but they did it, and it's a compliment, and it's a real. I have all the respect in the world for anybody that completes that swim. It's a very tough swim.
Yeah, you touched on something there too. They're not all ripped like six packs and everything like that too. Some of them are a little heavier or whatever, but they can still do the same things. It's
Tom, you were a professional athlete, and I've been around the rooms. Sometimes guys just don't look like. And then like Kessel is a perfect example.
Yeah, totally.
As a guy. Yeah. I mean, he does. He lives on hot dogs and pizza and beer, and yet he'll skate by you like you're standing still.
I know. We talk about all these theories and the scientific studies and all that kind of stuff, and they're all valid. I believe, they all have their points. But at the end of the day, the guys.
You're always going to have outliers.
Yeah.
And totally. Gretzky said in camp, what do you say now? Because he's doing 195-pound. Yeah. I mean, he would just touch the bar and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
And then he said, I started doing push-ups. And I went from 70 some goals down to whatever. But yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a great example because he has all button legs, right? Just total muscle, but nothing up top because he had the theory. I'm not using the muscle up top; it's just extra weight. I don't.
He used this muscle up top.
Yeah. Now, one of my favorite all-time teammates was Mike Allison, and he was like that. He was not this physical specimen, but man,
big guy though, wasn't he, Tom?
He was solid, and he just had a huge heart too. It just we did a podcast with him where he kind of downplaying his career. I'm going, what are you talking about? I think what it was with him too. He started off being a big-time goal scorer. His rookie year was my rookie year, and we'd lost Walt Kachuk as a centerman. Philip Zito retired halfway through, and I think Ulf Nielsen, another centerman. also got hurt, missed most of the season. So Mike ended up being like the number one centerman on the team by default, but really, got like 40 goals or more.
Yeah.
And
He
I
was
think
a hell of a player.
Yeah, and I think that he thought, and others thought, well, that's going to be his career, but it really wasn't. Like, he was this fantastic defensive player. So there's our veteran magical creature, Barry Shelley.
You know what, Barry? It's easy for me to do it because I have so much support. And, by the way, Tom, we had a whole new group of Warriors from the New Jersey Warriors participate this year.
Cool.
Cap, Keith Morano, his wife even came on deck. We had Nick and also Ernie. Ernie's a trooper, but yeah, so it was exciting because it was great to have them represent our program.
There's our brother.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Magical creature right there.
Yeah, he's a great man.
Yeah.
Great man.
Seems like it. Just the stuff you say about him and the stuff he says here. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Real good.
A veteran.
So,
Was he
Navy?
Was he Navy, Army? What was
he?
Keith?
Keith was Navy.
Navy? Cool.
Yeah, Keith was
Cool.
Navy. Hope I didn't forget anybody that was with us. But yeah. And of course, Royce, my buddy Royce.
Royce was there?
Yeah,
people got to meet Royce, right? He's that hidden assassin. He's this tiny little guy, barely talks, and then the stuff he does in his workouts. That year, was it 2 or 3 years ago? Him and
Kenny Bigby.
Kenny Bigby.
They were doing some spy and some hand drills and stuff, and everybody was just like, "Wow." Oh, Tom, did you bring a dog here?
I swear to God, it's me. As soon as I start talking, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll cover some. We're going to bounce around a little bit. We'll come back to the event, but some local news around here. The dog Pepper. So I shouldn't have done this, but on Friday, the dog Pepper and his mother were moving. The moving truck showed up. They left. I was gonna
mission accomplished.
I know. I was gonna go out there and do something stupid, like cheer or something like that. Like yawn. I said, no, I can't do that. The woman has been through a lot, so
yeah.
Best of luck to her. But I tell you what, we were talking about before the show. I think it's getting worse and worse where people just do not care at all about anybody else.
No.
Right. Oh,
great for me and a buff on goal to everybody else.
So it seems like maybe I'm home. Maybe I'm home too much during this time of the year. I don't know what it is, but my back deck is like my oasis, right? The tiki torch, tiki torches, barbecue, TV set up out there, and it's turned into like I think everybody just sends their animals over to my deck. It's like there's dogs walking through there. And then this cat was walking through this morning. We had the woman who had to be taken away my deck there the other day. Even a squirrel. I used to feed this squirrel, and I've got these covers for the chairs that I don't use outside my patio. And the squirrel just randomly, I'm hearing this noise out there. He's randomly just chewing on the thing, ripping a hole in the cover for my chair.
Well,
it's like
during COVID, the kids couldn't come to the door for Halloween, so Beth and I set a chair out like on the sidewalk by our house there with a big plastic orange pumpkin, and candy was in it. My neighbor got a great shot of a squirrel perched on the and pulling out Snickers. Right, I kid you not. Like 6 months later, I saw the same squirrel, and I would find Snicker wrappers like all over the sporadically. The thing must have gained 40 pounds, man. It was,
yeah. Oh, okay. Brian, you're right. It is. It's get off my grass. Like I can't decide. Is it me because I'm getting? Am I getting really grumpy old man, or is it just?
Or you're just a Karen.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, can't do that.
No, I can't. Can't do that. And then today, I went to the store, came back, and we have a condominium complex where everybody's got assigned spots. So this red car is parked in my spot. Now I'm keeping my composure. And this young girl is walking a dog. And I'm thinking, well, I haven't seen her before. I think I'd seen the dog before. And I'm sitting outside my spot, and I just gently honked the horn because if somebody just ran inside really quickly and they'd come out and move the car. So I honked the horn a couple of times, and she's right there walking the dog, and nobody comes out. So I call down to the office nicely and say, because usually they put a notice out, somebody's parked in a spot. And so they said, well, there's another spot right beside you can use. So I use that. And I'm watching. And this girl that was walking the dog, she just comes out and gets in. It's her car. She's parked in my spot. And she's looking right at me, honking the horn. I'm like, wow. And I can't go get in a confrontation with this young girl. I'm going to yell at her or something. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, Beth and I are out here in Southampton, and I kind of don't fit in out here. It's not really, it's beautiful, but, so it's going to be, all I can say is keep bail money ready for me.
Oh, I know, right? It's like, you know what I like too is if you start off being kind and just say, like, if something's happened or whatever, you're trying to sell it, it's almost worse, right? Because then
Well,
people like take
yeah,
advantage of it, kind of.
I mean, one of the greatest things that I've learned along the way in my very brief contact with the SEAL community is,
Oh,
just kind of chill.
so without telling any tales, just in general, well, you've been around Bill. Just when you guys are out, if somebody does something, I mean, he's a huge man, so probably nobody's going to do anything.
Look, I've seen the switch go a few
Oh,
times, not
okay.
entirely, but
Right.
yeah, I don't think you want to be around it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
you
he's
don't
got to
wanna be on the
really,
receiving end of it.
yeah, he's got to really contain himself. He gets in a confrontation with somebody, then he's in big trouble,
Well,
right?
Yeah. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, and the thing is, not only that, I know a lot of other guys that weren't SEALs are the same way, that are maybe law enforcement or athletes
Right.
or something like that. And in general, most people are polite, and we all try to be
Right.
good to each other. But every once in a while, you get somebody who just has to be kind of straightened out a bit.
That's why, like, my days of going to a bar are over with. There's just nothing good happens at a bar.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're having a couple of cocktails, everybody's having fun. Or they've had a couple of cocktails, and they say
Yeah.
something to your wife or your girlfriend or bump
Right.
into you. And,
Well,
then you're-
we've talked about this before. There's two types of violence. One is social violence, which is just what we're describing here.
Right.
And that's to be avoided. I mean, it's just stupidity. It's male ego, which is huge. I have
Yeah.
it. You have it. It's hard to push aside, but we have to do that. But there's antisocial violence, when somebody you don't know comes with intent to harm you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you got to do what you got to do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that is true, right? Because there's Jocko Willink has a good video out, and he says the best way to fight off some outside is to run. So
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I've said this story, but I'll repeat it because it bears repeating. So the Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon film, there's a scene on like one of those little boats when there's transporting people, and an older gentleman goes to sit down, and his young punk takes a seat, and Bruce Lee says, "What are you doing?" And the kid gets up and he gets in his face, and let's fight. Bruce says, "Oh yeah, we'll fight, but let's it's kind of crowded. See that island over there? We'll go fight on that island, right?" The guy's like, yeah. So they walk over to a little boat that's attached to the bigger boat, and Bruce goes, "Get in, yeah." As soon as the guy gets in, he releases the rope, and the guy just starts sailing out. So the point was win the fight without having to fight.
Totally. Yeah, you think about it, and that's even like the more skilled you are as a fighter, it's even more so that way, right? Because
it certainly gives you more confidence.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, there's always listen, as you know, it's real violence is asymmetrical. It's not repeatable. So you can train, but at least you have the attributes. You can see things coming at you, and it does give you, I think, a longer leash to self-mitigate yourself.
Totally.
Like, okay, let's not do anything here.
That's like for kids, it's so good to take Taekwondo or Jiu-Jitsu or something.
Any
like
of the
that.
martial arts, I think, people, the question always is, what is the best martial art to take? And I always tell people the one you're taking.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally. Boy, Brian Duffy, our veteran, another great veteran here. In my old USA days, I had several opportunities to fly SEALs to unique locations. Or humble. Yeah. That's a great way to put it. That was a surprise for me. A very pleasant surprise when I started getting around them. Not around as much as you are, but yeah, when they engage in a conversation, it's not just passing time. It's like they're there with you. They're saying, okay, if I'm going to talk to you, I'm full in, right? All in.
By the way, Bill Branham said to say hello to the guy with the scar.
Did he?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Did you tell him that I told the story a few times about?
Oh yeah.
Good. Oh, classic guy. The look at I will never forget the look in his face the way he did that too. Like, I've told the story many times, but I've got a scar on my stomach from losing the spleen. Amongst all these Navy SEALs guys, and they've all been shot up and scars all over the place, and limping around in some cases. And so we're standing there. I've got the shirts off, and he said, "Oh, we got the same scar." And I'm thinking I'm Joe Tough. I get the around all these guys. So, yeah, I lost my spleen. You too? He goes, I got shot. The way he did it was classic, right? He was standing right there.
Well, you know what it is too, Tom? You and I are around athletes all the time. And when you get SEALs are athletes. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah.
They're tremendous athletes. And then we kind of tend to forget that they're not athletes, but they're athletes, but they're not athletes. They're war fighters. And we kind of tend to forget what exactly it's all about. But I will say this, at the speech, when we got to the memorial, there were two speeches that really stood out. One really, literally, I had Rhonda Viteri standing next to me. I don't know if you remember Rhonda. She's a tremendous woman. In fact, she's representing USA next week in Finland. So we'll really support her.
She's a Greenwich girl. She's from here, right?
Correct. She's just, I can't even describe all the tremendous things she's does.
She's done a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's going to represent. I don't know exactly what I think it's a triathlon, but she's representing the United States this coming weekend in Finland.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. So and she's a patriot, but so she was standing alongside me, and there was two speeches. One was the commander. If you remember, it's a very iconic picture when we first got in Afghanistan. It was like half a dozen or so SEALs on horses with beards down to here, dressed as Afghanis.
Yeah.
And that was him. That was he was the commander of that
wow.
team, and he spoke. And again, the big topic is extortion 17, because we lost 29 SEALs in one day in one incident. But spoke to about just why they do what they do, and it's all about us and our country, and it just was so motivating and inspiring.
Yeah.
And then one of the Gold Star fathers spoke.
Ooh.
And I don't want to replicate what he what he did say, but his middle boy was in extortion 17, so he lost him. Then he lost his younger boy, was a SEAL. We lost him too, and then unfortunately he lost his other older son, who was a Marine, by his own hand. So I stood there, and literally Rhonda and I could feel her shaking, and I was shaking, because the thought of that whole, but that's why we were there. And that's why these men and women and Bill Brown and the Navy SEAL Foundation do what they do, so that, we always recognize, represent, and appreciate and love all those that did that. Yeah.
And those speeches took place on the New York side at the end of the
Correct.
swim?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're doing a little bit more now on the New York side. It was primarily most of the speeches around the Jersey
side.
I don't know.
Evolved over the years. The first year, was only it was 33 SEALs, and the New York side was great, but it was a smaller.
Right.
But I mean, it was packed. It was totally packed. And then we all went across the street to O'Hara's, which is an Irish bar, right? And O'Hara's has like coolers outside, and the guys are just drinking beers on the sidewalk and on the street. Yeah. So, and the two Fox News anchors, Pete Hegseth and Will Kane, they swam. This was Pete's I think this might have been his third swim. It was Will's first swim.
Oh.
And then when I saw Will, I wasn't there, but I saw a photo when he did the island swim. I said, this guy looks like a Division I swimmer.
Oh, okay.
Because he's tall and he's got that waist about this big.
Yeah,
but it turns out I think he played water polo. So,
wow.
Yeah. We had a little bit of that, but yeah, so it was great. And then they all went down the street to a toga party, and some of them, like Matt McCabe and Brownie, they were out in the street with their toga on, and yeah.
I mean, people walking like in Manhattan, walking up to that scene, especially if they knew that these were Navy SEALs. I mean, they'd be running the other way, right?
Oh yeah, it was crazy. And then listen, there's two people I want to recognize, and the first one is Brad Haberlin, who we had on, who's one of my brothers, and he had suffered that horrific accident. He completed the swim, bro.
Oh wow!
He got
How many months ago was that they cut his fingers off?
It was a year ago, Memorial Day.
Okay.
So we're talking less than a little bit over a year.
Yeah, right.
And he's already done that Death March ruck out in the New Mexico desert. Now he just did the swim. And Brad, to my knowledge, unless I'm wrong, I don't know if he was ever like a big swimmer guy.
Right.
But and it just goes to prove there's no quit. You just keep going.
Yeah, everybody's like, I shouldn't say that. That's not fair to say. Not everybody's like this, but a lot of people now are saying, "Oh, I can't do this, or I can't do that, or that's too hard to do." And like in Brad's case, he doesn't have to be doing that stuff. He can be sitting around, feeling sorry for himself.
And I think some of it is how you and I get motivated by, the people we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
And hopefully we give a little bit back. Probably not much, but anyhow, And then the other guy I want to just acknowledge is Ricky Castro, who he's a military veteran. I met him a while back, and he works out of a gym that I do some training in. And again, he's not a swimmer. He did the majority of his training in a pool. Oh. So it's like
that's a lot different than in the water there. Yeah.
And then when you get in open water, and it was a pretty tough swim. I know guys were getting sick.
Oh.
Because swallowing so much water.
Oh, okay.
Guys were cramping for whatever reason.
Right.
But so I want to acknowledge him. Ricky, he completed the swim.
That's cool. Good job. And you know what? I'll do it because I know you won't. But you deserve a lot of credit too for all the work you do putting it together. I know it's Bill Brown setting it up, but if you don't do your work, then the whole event doesn't go off. So. Yeah,
well, it's such a great event that I just do.
Yeah, I know you want to be part of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I have so many people that help me, and Megan Burns, who oversaw the volunteer, because there was a lot of volunteers other than my group. She did a tremendous job, and like anything else, there's a couple hiccups here and there, but overall, another tremendous event.
Yeah, to have all those people,
Yeah,
because again, that's
it's a
making
lot.
sure make sure everybody's safe.
Yeah.
Go through the whole process, making sure they count everybody in every time they get up on the barge and at the end of the swim. So
And
yeah,
the biggest, the hardest part for all of them is to get the understanding it's not a race.
yeah, I know.
But it's like
Yeah,
you got all
Yeah.
those type A,
Yeah.
high-powered people.
and I don't even think they're necessarily racing. It is not a race, but I don't think those people that view it as a race are not looking to beat everybody else. It's just they want to do it as hard as they
Yeah.
can. Right? That's their concept.
So Johnny, Johnny Corbusello.
Yeah.
So we're on
He's
the second
he's
barge.
jacked too. I saw some pictures of him.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's in great shape. So I think it was second barge. Some woman starts screaming, Mark, Bill wants you in the water. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, Mark, Bill needs you in the water. I'm like, what are you talking about? But what happened was Johnny, when he jumped off the second barge and he hit, one of his fins just shredded.
Oh.
So he had one.
Oh.
And so they were trying to get my attention to see if I could muster up a fin somewhere.
Right.
And somebody found like a youth one, like that's this big, threw it down, and you know what? He finished the swim with a fin and a half,
That's
fin
good.
and a
That's
quarter.
good.
Again,
He's the
he doesn't
adventurer.
quit.
He's the adventurer too. He does stuff like flying on
he's all
top of
over the
planes.
planet.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
That's cool. Here's our buddy here. The weekend was very humbling, not just being surrounded by the toughest warfighters in the world, but made me realize I'm not in as good shape as I thought, because no way would I have been able to make the quarter of that swim. Great weekend. Thank you for allowing us to be involved. Good
Thank
job,
you,
brother.
Keith. Thank you. Without you guys, it doesn't happen. I can only do so much. I need all the support I get, and you guys provided it.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. What else was I going to say to you?
Hey, we're rolling up on training camp.
Training camp's coming up. Yep.
Yeah.
There's something else I was going to say to you. I can't forget. Ted Curtin. There he is, our brother.
Ted. Yeah.
There he is.
By the way, Ted's father passed. And so Ted wasn't able to do the swim, but we thought about him every moment across and after. And he's my brother. I love him.
So very sorry to hear that, Ted. Hope you had a great life. So we did.
He did. Yeah.
Yes. Good. Excellent. Oh, I know what it was. Did we talk about this the last show? Tom Horvath passed away then?
Yes, he passed away.
We did.
Yeah. For those
so people that don't know, Tom Horvath worked for the Rangers like 50 years, and just one of those lovable guys. He worked kind of like the equipment manager for mainly just down at MSG. I don't think he was really.
Yeah, he was a game day guy, I believe.
Yeah.
He wasn't the equipment, but he was a game day, and those guys again behind the scenes. It's just like it's not the same, but it's similar. Like in the sense, there's a lot of people that fly under the radar that without them nothing happens. Yeah. Tommy was one of those guys.
Yeah, sweetheart of a guy too. Just funny guy. Always in the same mood. I love those guys.
Yeah. Well, that was all the Irish Westie guys. Horvath. Yeah. If you read the book Westies, and I believe you'll see the Horvath name. That wasn't Tommy, but there's a lot of guys.
Right.
Yeah, because they were all Irish guys, and they all worked for the screen. Well, not the Screen Actors Guild, but whatever they would transport actors to movie sets. So they were drivers. Right. So that's why they were able to schedule to be able to work Ranger games.
That's right too. We lost Rick Jeanneret, famous guy with the Buffalo Sabres, played by his voice was one of those voices around forever. Certainly remember. Good job by you, Ron. Hope you're doing well. Another veteran there. Again, thank you for your. We had a lot of veterans on here. I love this.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Who else? We lost somebody else too. I can't remember who it was. Another hockey.
2 weeks ago, Gilles Gilbert.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, goaltender.
Wow.
He was only 72, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. But do you remember Boog Powell from the Baltimore Orioles?
I do remember that name. Yes. Yeah.
Huge guy.
Right.
I just saw this morning. He's still going. I'm thinking, wow, that guy must be 100 years old. But he was but he was 82. But
that's right. That's who it was. Ron's on fire here with his news. Bobby Baun.
Yeah, exactly. Played with broken leg, right?
That's the famous. Yeah, he scored a goal, I think, with a broken leg in the playoffs. I think it was. Yeah.
Again, he played half a dozen games with a broken leg.
Yeah,
it's a kind of thing. Just don't quit. Keep going.
It was a whole different time too. Like now, you shoot it up and everything. Now it's back then. It's like
who's the kid on Boston just recently? He was on a power play. Like when I say recently, like within the past, I think a couple 5-6 years maybe. Broke his leg, but stayed on because it was either a PK. I think it was a PK, and he's still blocking shots.
Yeah.
Broken leg.
Oh, his father played too, little guy, and he was working for the NHL. Oh, I know who you're talking about too. That's awful.
The kid on Dallas actually had a cardiac arrest. Remember Beverly?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Or not Beverly. I'm thinking of Nick.
I know who you're thinking about too. Yeah.
He had a name like Presley, like Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
But yeah,
James,
he wanted to go back on the ice. I go, dude, no, you're on a cardiac arrest.
James Patrick, an old teammate, he was actually assistant coach when that happened. He was on the bench there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Must be.
So I actually had a great conversation with James Patrick too this weekend. We tried to get a hold of him. So the team he was coaching was sold, and the owner they moved it down to the U.S. And I can't remember the name of the town. He wants to have all U.S. born people working for the organization, which is his right. So James obviously is not that. But what the good thing that came from it with James, he, I guess he wasn't doubting himself ever. But I think it was really refreshing for him to hear the reaction from other people. A lot of other teams reached out to him wanting to hire him right away. So it actually worked out to be really good for him. He's made the decision himself to take the year off from coaching, which I think is a smart move.
Sure.
There'll be, it's always happens. There's always coaching opportunities at all levels. So,
I mean, he was an assistant for years in the NHL.
Yeah.
Quite a while.
And that's a good point because, the assistant, as you know, the assistant role is different than the head coach. And over these last few years, he's been coaching as a head coach at junior level. He's really clear that he has much more confidence in himself as a head coach now. So he's a little older. I think he's 62 or something like that. So I don't know if an NHL head job will come his way or not, but
well, you know what? It's like I tell kids, if you're a good hockey player, don't worry about where you're playing. They're going to find you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, that's so true.
He'll get a job.
Yeah. Isn't that so true with everything in life too? That I've learned, I think you're the same way. I don't worry about the money. I worry about like doing my job properly. Right. And then, like with our podcast that we have, that Full Change podcast, there's rankings and ratings and all that kinds of stuff. And my producer, Tom Smith, he keeps an eye on the ratings. And he says, you don't even check them. I said, well, listen, whether we're ranked number 1 or we're ranked number 1,000, I'm still going to perform the same way in that podcast. So, yeah, good advice, I think. I think I need to go to maybe a veterinarian or something like that. See if it's my voice that.
I think it is because
because it wasn't barking at all before. And all of a sudden, I'm talking.
It was been quiet here all morning.
Yeah. Oh, so funny. So I think we told you this. My boys and I, Shane is the oldest one, 32. Cody's 30. Shane's about turned 33. That's right, in September. We all have this thing where we love each other very much and we're very close, but we only spend time with each other. It's like, okay, I love you. We're here, and then we're gonna.
That's the way it is. Like my Sean will be 32 in September,
right?
And Ty is 29.
Oh.
I don't see him that much, but look, they're men now. They got their own lives. I mean, And you know what, too, Tom? I think in our generation, well, you left to play hockey, but if you didn't, you grew up on the farm. Yeah. You'd still be with your parents all the time, but it's different now. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's different. Well,
now Shane and his wife Leah have the dog, Maverick, my grandson, and he's the same way. He gets so excited to see me, and they stopped by yesterday. He was here about 15, 20 minutes, and you can tell he's just looking at me. Okay, let's go. It's time. Like, he'll go stand by the door. I love you, Grandpa, but let's go. We got to move. Yeah. Oh, it's funny stuff.
They become like humans and family.
Yeah, they really do. So I'm babysitting this Friday. I'm babysitting Maverick. We'll be hanging out together. They're going down to the city. There's something else I wanted to bring up.
Do you know Jen Pacello? She works with
Sounds
NHL.
familiar.
Yeah, she works with George Paros in Discipline.
Oh, okay. Yes, I know who she is.
So through a friend, she had reached out and contacted me to be part of the swim, and she was at our side the whole weekend. The swim. Yeah,
very
really
cool.
Nice girl. Yeah,
that's very cool. That's very cool. All right, here. What do we got here? A little question. Wellness question. I'm still working on my health weight. I've hit a weight loss plateau. I've increased my cardio, water intake, eating better. Thoughts? Well, calories in, calories out, right? Am I simplifying that?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But also, who was that? Brian or Brendan?
Brian. That was Brian.
Brian. Feel free, Brian. What I would like you to take some time. I need a 3-day diary. So what I would like you to do is, what time you wake up, what time you. Maybe it's me, the voice. Anyhow, what time you wake up, the mood you're in, write down everything. What mood you're in when you wake up, when you eat, what you eat, and whatever exercise you kind of chart it. But give me a 3-day snapshot of that, and I can hopefully come up with something that you might want to tweak. And
in addition to that, too, I just great idea by Mark, first of all. But in addition to that, I use an app called MyFitPal. Under Armour has it. There's other apps you can use. The only reason I bring it up is you can really chart your foods and your calories, and your macros and nutrients are really important in that, right? So macros are your proteins, fats, and carbs. And it's kind of a pain to get started. You got to input your activity level, what are your goals, what your weight is currently, and then it'll spit out a chart for you, like how much your target should be of those three, your macros should be, and then obviously with your calories as well. So.
Hold on a second.
And it really, don't you think it really is for me, one of the biggest things is just learning what the foods do for you, right? And like you said, like when to eat.
So food's it's all a chemical process, and food is really intended for two things. One is energy, and one is healing. I mean, it's cellular healing.
Right.
But of course now it's a more emotional thing. And one of the reasons I ask people to write their moods down, because if they're in a stress level, because if you're stressed out in a bad mood, you're releasing a lot of cortisol, which destroys muscle tissue. And we lose muscle tissue, we lose energy burning, calorie burning. And also the problem with cortisol, it's you're setting yourself up to retain body fat as opposed to decreasing it. So it's really important that you cover everything you can think of as long as
and that's one of the things I learned too, especially as you're getting older. The two of the things that happen to you are your testosterone level in most people, it drops, and you lose your muscle mass, right? And that's why, to me, working out is so important for you to make sure you maintain. You don't have to be a bodybuilder or anything, but that's the working out obviously burns calories, but it also builds up that muscle mass. And to your point, Mark, that's one thing I learned. I saw a video where a guy, he says, basically your brain is a pharmacy where it releases all these proteins. And actually, so it isn't just a theory, there's science behind where if you're a happier person, not watching the news, not being around negative people, those positive proteins now are pushed through your body as well. And conversely, it's the same thing with your body. When you now work out more, you're producing proteins that goes to your brain. So it's a two-way street now.
Yeah, it's a hormonal reaction as well as serotonin, and you release a lot. So when we always talk about when you're feeling a little depressed, if you go for a run or a walk or you work out, you feel better because exercise releases a lot of serotonin.
Right. What's going on?
I don't know, ladies. Yeah, we're doing it. But anyway, so it's really important because, again, and it's really particularly important to understand that there's a connection between emotion and food. And if you think about when we're little kids, like if you scored a goal when you're a kid, what do you get? You get a pop or you get candy, right?
Yeah, totally.
Or if you did your homework or whatever, and then you start to associate behavior with reward being sugary. And then when you're in a bad mood, what do you tell it? Can you have a piece of candy? Cheer you up. So there's an absolute direct connection between emotion and food intake.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny too. Like I didn't understand that stuff, and just like I said before, just the learning of that and understanding of the way that works. Like even with people saying like about a cheat day, you're talking. They say, "Would you have a cheat day?" Well, I do so many good things for my body. Why am I going to intentionally put something?
Man, I got it. Our boy Johnny Corbusello.
Yeah.
He must have sent me a half a dozen pictures yesterday of what he was eating.
Oh.
Because he's been trained up for this event, and he probably burned 18,000 calories in that swim.
Right.
And I said, "You're gonna kill yourself, bro. You gotta slow down." He shakes and steaks and burgers and pizza and everything like that.
Remember one time, this a couple years ago, I think when I first met him, and he posted something about he was someplace eating a big dessert. He posted a picture of it. Yeah, you and I jumped on him right away. Like he says, "Oh, that's great. I've got my grandfather and my stepfather yelling at me."
Exactly. He'll call me sometimes. He'll shoot me a picture from his car seat, and there's a box of Krispy Kremes there.
Oh.
And then you look at him, the guy's jacked.
Oh, he's ripped. But he's always moving too, right? Yeah.
He's either doing some jujitsu or whatever. He's a pretty busy dude.
Yeah, and that's it. I like as much as we can say, here's what you should do and everything. Mm-hmm. You're your own person. You got to figure it out for yourself, like what really works for you, right? You got to be happy about your life. Like to me, people that I think some of it is kind of misleading a little bit where people get on and they do these things on Instagram and Facebook and make it seem like they're just totally disciplined. Well,
a little bit dishonest.
Yeah, right. I mean, you got to enjoy your life too. I mean, yes, you need to be disciplined, but if you've been disciplined in your diet and workouts and everything, and you want to go ahead and have a donut, well, it's not the best thing in the world for you, but go have the donut.
I'm not going to condemn them all because there's a lot of very reputable, knowledgeable people out there, but some of the TikTok and some of the stuff that's in IG, they're disciplined for the 30 seconds it takes to shoot that video, and then that's it. Yeah.
And listen, I have to edit my video. So like when I work out,
editing is different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm but you really live that life.
Right. So I think what I'm going to do one time though is do a video, all of the mistakes I make in the gym, like falling off the Bosu ball or stuff like that, to show people, listen, I show you the good things, but here's all the stuff that happens, right? Or dropping weight.
And Royce Ramos and Grant Tuhon, all those guys will appreciate. The first year I started doing Kali, I took my sticks out here, and I was either a little tired or something. But I'm up in the bedroom and I'm doing something with a stick, and I mean, I almost knocked myself out. I mean, the stick came up and it just caught me, and I had a welt. And yeah, that was an interesting dinner conversation. Trying to explain that one away.
Isn't it true? I mean, when you do something like that and you think back later on, like, what was I thinking about? Like, I knew this wasn't going to work out.
Well, so that's why I don't like being left alone too much.
Yeah. Oh, I've actually, you know what? And the other topic, one of the topics people ask, like, how often do you work out? So my truck not working the way I wanted to the last couple of weeks. I've used it as an opportunity more to say, I'm just long walks. I'm staying away from the weights and just long walks.
So, your workout isn't just in the gym. So when I looked at my steps and all that stuff from Saturday, because, you're up and back, walking down and back on the barge, and then you had to walk up to the memorial.
Yeah.
I did 7 miles and like 16,000 steps, but that wasn't a planned workout.
Right.
But yet I got home that night and I was the same weight I was when I woke up in the morning.
Sure.
Because I burned up everything. So, listen, being a farm boy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. There's no workout. There's no sets and reps. You just go out there and do your work and you get jacked.
I remember those days when, you're a young kid, you want to get the biceps going the whole bit. And we're picking up those bales of hay. And sometimes the bales of hay, you're getting all, and the hay's all like sharp and everything. So you're scratching up your thighs and all that.
I know we've talked about it, but the famous picture of Bobby Hull.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In the summer, and then I found a picture. I'll forward it to you. Lou Gehrig sitting in the dugout. And remember, those guys, there was no knowledge at all about training. There certainly weren't any anabolic steroids. That man was not even jacked. He was yoked.
Yeah.
I mean, he was big dude.
That's what beer was a food group back then too, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's amazing though. Like you talk to Bobby Orr, so one of the greatest athletes that's ever played. He'd have a steak for a pregame meal, right? Like now they say you can't have steak, you need to have carbs in you. But
there was Wade Boggs. Remember Wade Boggs?
Yeah.
He used to have fried chicken dinner before every game. And then Ray Ferraro used to always have chicken parm.
That's right. Yeah, he was famous.
Like, how do you digest that play a game?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but same thing.
Whatever works.
Yeah. I think part of it is too, you just don't know any better, so you just go play.
Right. Well, back then, of course, nobody knew. Yeah, and a lot of it's superstition. If you went three for 4 and you had fried chicken, you're gonna do the same thing until it doesn't work. And
Bernie Nichols is famous. Bernie Nichols would get a steak that he'd I just meant to say he'd say to the waitress, he wanted so rare, he'd say, wipe off its ass, pull off the horns, and put it on a plate. He would just like basically sear, they'd sear the outside. The rest of it's like all blue inside.
Bernie was a beauty. Oh, good hockey player.
Oh yeah. Really real. You know what's funny? He was a proud man, and he wasn't like saying he definitely should be in the Hall of Fame. But we got on the subject, and it wasn't him started. We asked him, whether he thought he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, and he went through the numbers and everything. And compared to some other people that are there, Bernie should be in the Hall of Fame. He's had that kind of career.
Yeah.
What a funny guy too. And I think a lot of people thought he was just that little skilled guy. Man, he wasn't necessarily a fighter. He could hit.
A little edgy.
Yeah. Funny too. He loved the practical jokes. So in LA, I sat right by the door, and he would. He's one of those guys. He'd have 2 sticks for the game, and he'd put them right by the front door, going out to the ice every time in the same place. And I think he was using black sticks. So I got the black tape out, and I would tape the 2 sticks together and do it right so that he didn't check it again. They had this whole system, right? And then once he put them there, he didn't check them again. They go back and I just put enough tape there that you really couldn't see it, but they're stuck together. So I wouldn't do it all the time. So he goes to go on the ice, and you can't separate his sticks, And everybody, just like I said, everybody's got a superstition. He's first, somebody else is second, so it's holding up the whole line.
It was like the clear tape, right? So many years ago, I had to skate with Kenny every morning because he was coming back from an injury, and what was the guy's name?
Just so people know, it's Kenny Danico. Mark's talking about
and I had a wooden stick. I forget what it was, Northland, whatever it was. And so we get on there. It was just Kenny and I and a bucket of pucks. And I go to snap a pass or whatever, and the blade comes flying off. Oh. That's weird. It was Dave Anderchuk had chopped through and, put the clear tape and put the blade back on. Oh,
good stuff. Yeah. I did that. I've told this story many times, but Mike Rogers and he was my best man. We got married. We were good friends and everything. But he would get, like a lot of guys, he'd get, things aren't going well, he'd get a little grouchy mood. And he used the old Coho sticks. When we had the red tape wrapped down the bottom. So I'd do the same thing. I'd cut in between there and that red tape, and just enough, like 3/4 of the way through, 2/3 of the way through. And so he'd snap the stick, and everybody else knew I was doing it. So we were all waiting to see and he'd only do it when he's in a bad mood too. So,
Yeah, because it lasted for a little bit,
Yeah.
until the tape got weak.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, one day he was in a real bad mood, so he had like 4 sticks in his rack, and I did them all. And oh yeah, maybe it was 4, maybe it was the 3, but so anyway, he goes out, breaks the first one, goes, "If you did it to another stick, like he's mad now, and we're really good buddies, and he's mad." and everybody's watching. And he said, "You did it to another my stick. I'm going home," or something like that.
He was a hell of a player, man.
Yeah, he was too. So he did. He broke it. One more left. And now he's just steaming too. And it's hilarious. Like I think even Herbie Burks was laughing. And it really wasn't what I did. It's more his reaction to it. And
I think hockey, I haven't participated in any other organized sports at that level, but for sure, there's a lot of that. I think more than any other sport. So superstition, I think every athlete's superstitious. Right. But the shaving cream in your gloves and all that kind of stuff, it's just endless.
God. That is one of the things. We had Ken Hitchcock. We did a show with him, Full Change podcast with him, and he was talking about the locker room and how he was walking to the locker. I think it was during the Olympics or World Championship or something like that, and he was going to go in and talk to the team, but he realized the team had really taken charge of the locker room. They were really coaching themselves, and he was smart enough just to walk away. But when he was telling the story, I started getting the goosebumps because you remember those days in the locker room, like getting the fun stuff like you're talking about. Also those times. And it really happened. It wasn't just, it was in New York as well. But in LA, we had such a veteran team that the coaches really didn't, no disrespect to coaches, but Wayne Gretzky, Larry Robinson, Dave Taylor. Oh, yeah. So, John Tonelli won 4 cups, all that kinds of stuff. So, we didn't, if we were playing bad, coaches just stay away. We'd handle ourselves. Yeah.
Well, they were smart enough to know. One of the things I heard, I think it was Dave Tippett or somebody said that if a player has a bad game, you don't say anything. Your job is to make sure he doesn't have 3 bad games.
Yeah, totally. Especially a veteran player, right? They know how to. Yeah, I guess if they're showing, and it's one of those things too, where sometimes people would see the player maybe 2 hours after the game, and he's laughing and joking. He's had a bad game. He's laughing and joking around. But you learn that you got to have a short memory. If you have a great game, well, that's got nothing to do with the next game, and it's the same thing with a bad game, right? It's like you can't sit around and sulk about it all the time.
Right.
Just take a few minutes after the game, regroup. What did you do wrong? Did you prepare properly? All that stuff. And yeah, I was really I did a presentation on Wednesday afternoon at the Garden. They had obviously Chase Bank's a big sponsor, and they had grouped together some of their high level executives. And I went in and spoke to them about leadership and discipline and all that. They're a really interesting group because they're obviously very successful people, but they really asked some great questions about.
Well, that's why they're successful.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah, they're not, and you can tell they're not afraid to make it look like they don't really know.
They'll learn something every day.
Yeah, totally. Let me see here. The CCC. If I was Bergeron, I'll stand off and not name the eyes. Oh yeah, but I do see sometimes though, like this is how the games change, right? And I no disrespect to the players now, but I think it was who's the kid in Dallas? I can't remember his name. Anyways, they were doing rock paper scissors. The guys on opposite teams before the game. Now, who's going to go after? If we'd done something like that,
you're not going to make it into the locker room alive.
Yeah, I've told this. We had Eddie another podcast meeting with Eddie Hospodar, and I played with him my first year, and nutcase, Eddie, great guy, but nutcase on the ice, and we were in Philly in warmups. Now he's in Philadelphia playing, and I start shooting pucks at his skates. He's skating around, just joking around. Yeah. Keenan, I didn't know. Eddie just told me recently. Keenan was watching during warmups, so he got in Eddie in the locker room after the warmups and yanked him out of the lineup. He said, "Yeah, you and your buddy laid joking around."
Yeah, well, I can't. Yeah.
I said I would have done it more often if I knew that was going to be the
case. Well, was Ty shooting like ripping one at somebody on the red line. Yeah. Ty Domi and I forget who else.
Yeah.
It's a Philly game too, I think.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, listen, fantastic job by everybody.
I hope I didn't leave anybody out. If I did, I apologize. But there were so many tremendous people that contributed, participated, and put this thing together for another tremendous event. I think the dollar figure is quite substantial.
Good. And again, so it's the Navy SEAL Foundation that charity is for. You can donate obviously anytime you want. This is just an event to raise awareness and generate some more money. So you can go to the Navy SEAL Foundation website and make the donation. And again, if you don't have money, you can donate your time or something else to help out.
And anybody interested for next year's swim, you want to volunteer? There's never enough volunteers. Never too many. So
it's a big undertaking. Obviously, the more people that are swimming, the more people.
It's a tremendous event. It's something you'll remember literally for the rest of your days. Yeah.
Was it a pretty big crowd in the New Jersey side in the morning?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and that so you also had the ferry following us, and there was a couple yachts that were like right up against us watching, and
Oh,
Operation Deep Blue, which is another fantastic organization. A good friend of mine who's assistant AD up at West Point, John Wojcik, he was in a kayak, and unfortunately I didn't see him, but he was trying to get my attention. Tremendous man,
Right.
Another military hero. So yeah, it's again, if you want to volunteer, man, we need you.
right.
And,
Oh, I know what I knew what I was thinking of asking you. The night before they had the parachute. Didn't they parachute in?
So they were supposed to leapfrog in on Friday, but because of the weather, they
Oh.
actually leapfrog. We were getting on the quick boats to head out to the first barge, and they were coming in.
Oh, cool. So on Saturday morning they did that. Wow.
Yeah, we saw them coming. It was pretty cool.
Great event. Well, fantastic job by everybody involved. And again, you're here, but I know you're humble. But if you do not do all the stuff you do, it doesn't happen. So I know there's a lot of other people as well. But great job by you.
Thanks.
Proud you, my friend, my brother.
Love it, man.
All right. Everybody have a great week.